back for another book review. Today we're talking about this one. So this is The Big Little Book of Magic, a Wiccan's Guide to Altars, Candles, Pendulums, and Healing Spells by DJ Conway. Kind of more of what the subtitle would suggest. This, honestly, the title should have just been The Big Little Books of Magic, because this is a collection of her other books that are just smooshed in as one, like 4 books under one cover rather than multiples. So she has a book on candles, pendulums, healing, altars, and then they just slapped cover on it. So it's literally, because when you go to the publication page, you can see the copyrights. So a little book of candle magic, a little book of altar magic, a little book of pendulum magic, and a little book of healing magic. So they came out in 2000, 2001, and 2002. And then this, the copyright is really fun. I don't think it actually says on here when this is copyrighted, but maybe because it's literally just a collection. That's why. I don't know. But yeah, this is a collection of her other work. Literally. It jumps in, no even like changing the content to like pull back to the previous sections, really. So it's just 4 other books under one cover. And then each one is real. I mean, even the back, actually looking at this, it's literally each book's summary here. So it is just 4 books that are just under one cover. And each one really does just talk about the one subject. So altars, run-of-the-mill, exactly what you would expect. Very beginner witch things. And then for the second one, it's all about candle magic. Pendulums, it does a little bit into other divination systems, but really it's mostly on pendulums. And then the healing spells is really just energy work. So, yay. I gave this one a 3. It's a good 3. It's still a 3. To be honest, I would have given it like it probably still would have been in the 3 category, but it would have been probably lower because it is pretty lazy on the like editor's side of things. Like, it's pretty lazy. It's already an established book. You haven't revised the content. You haven't combined them and like done a revision for that. Like, there was really no anything to this other than a cash grab to maybe try and get the book back out into circulation, have another option to be like making money, basically. Like, it would be different if it had felt like it added something, you know, revised something. No. And to be honest, the other 3 were just not that great. Like, altars, pretty boring. If you need an entire book on how to make an altar, I mean, maybe you'll get something from it. Probably good for beginner witches, but otherwise, like, it's the same that every single book talks about ever, so nothing new. Pendulums, I am not a believer in pendulums. To be honest, the entire time reading it, all I could think about was one that I found from a book that I didn't like, but it had one little nugget that has just stuck with me so hardcore that I'm gonna buy stuff for it. So it comes from the like 8 Witches Paths or whatever book. I didn't like it. It was real weird, but one tiny little section, and probably other witches have talked about it, but listen, that's the one I found it from and I loved it. And that is to, before you like cast a spell, you roll a die, and if it's a even number, it means one thing. If it's an odd number, it means differently. Like, even is positive, odd is negative. And if you're rolling a dice. So if it's a 1, it's probably not a good idea to do that spell. It's gonna go badly. If it's a 6, it's gonna succeed. It's gonna go pretty good. Somewhere in the middle, it's just kind of, you know, how much is it gonna go your way, right? I love that concept. Like, using nerd things, which to me, dice is D&D, because I've been like binging Baldur's Gate. That is my current hyper focus. And so seeing it work, it's like, you know what though? It kind of is a vibe. Like, to be honest, like, a lot of people will get into like paganism from nerd culture. So it's so weird to have the opposite side of things where you're like, oh my god, this feels like home. I like this. So it's great, because sometimes like the symbolism within, especially like D&D, is so relevant to life. Like, the spell slots, oh my god, short and long rests, like there's a lot you can learn from nerd stuff. If you haven't ever done that, I highly encourage it. It's really fun. and Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing, and you should do it. And maybe don't have your main character be a druid, to be perfectly honest. Just find withers and change out your character, because oh my god, you have to waste so much of your wild shapes because you have to unwild shape to talk to people to continue the story. And then it costs you a wild shape, unless it's like a forced cutscene, but not all the time. So then you have to either try and interact, and sometimes it won't let it happen unless it's your main character. It's a pain. Just do someone else, and if you find withers, you can change their thing. So that, like, I changed Karlach to be a sorcerer too, like Gale, and then I was using what's-her-face, Shadowheart, but then she sucks. Because this is such a tangent, but like, in the game, she can have like a 94% chance gonna hit and then still misses. And you're like, what are you doing? So she got dropped, and now I have the druid, who also wild shapes. So between the two of us, we got this. We're both the owl bear, and it's awesome. Your HP is so high. But anyways, I love being a nerd. It's great. I love it. I used to be a book nerd, and now I'm slowly becoming an all nerd. But I love that way to get an answer, because I can't control it, especially if you get the die tower. Oh my god. There's one that I found on Amazon that I'm saving up for it because it's expensive. Maybe not to other people. If you have like a normal paycheck, it's probably nothing, but when you make less than $1 a day, and if you don't upload for a day, you don't make money. It's not easy to get, plus taxes, so that's really fun. But there's like, it's like $60, but it's this really epic looking, like, it's a spiraling staircase tower. It's got a gate at the bottom so it can't like escape out and fly across the room, but you drop your die at the top and it goes down the stairs and lands, so you can't really influence it. Because you know how sometimes you can like roll your dice and you like can kind of influence it a little bit? This you can't. Like, there's no way to control how it's gonna hit the little tiny stairs going down. And I love that, because I feel like sometimes I can get too in my head, and that's my problem with pendulums. And that's all I could think the entire thing, was thinking about that stupid die thing, the tower system to have it fall down. That's all I could think about, because I've never had a pendulum work, ever. In the history of every single one I've tried, had like, I think 4 or 5 different ones. None of them work. Like, my best one I've ever had, actually I've had 2 that have really worked well, and they were never an official pendulum. I used a watch, like an old school watch, and I used a necklace. That's it. Very on the cuff, very much like ancestor work, and that was it. And so I don't trust pendulums. I think it's too easy of an answer, and like the universe just does not want to make things easy at all. I've never had it work. If it works for you, cool. That whole section I was like, sure, that's a thing. So I didn't love that section. It didn't sway me either, by the way. It didn't make me be like, oh my god, yeah, that's the thing. Where, like, the candle section, yes. This, no. The other one that I really was just like, not it, was the healing section, the healing spells. Oh my god, it was just energy work. And it's like, but why? Like, it's your aura, your chakras, and like, that's it. It wasn't anything else. I was hoping for like more. Didn't really have that. Now the candle section, I would buy the book for. Like, that one, 5 out of 5. So good. Oh my god, they are really intense candle spells for everything ever, and I love them. There's so many that I'm like, this needs to go in the repertoire, this needs to go in the repertoire. These are ones you need. Like, these are awesome. They are so like versatile in what they do. I love the verbiage. It's sometimes complicated, sometimes not. Like, this is awesome. But all of the other sections were like such a letdown. Just candles. Just get it for the candle section. It was awesome. So I did want to mention just a few specifics here. So on page 5, we have, and it continued throughout the entire thing, but the Margaret Murray theory of the Great Goddess, which has been disproven so many times, it's there constantly. So just be aware, it's gonna be there. The history section of this throughout the entire book, iffy on a good day. Because again, no. So just keep that in mind. And actually with that, again, historical, on page 37, The Celts used an 8-spoked wheel to represent their sacred year with its 8 sacred festivals. No, they didn't. They had some, for sure. We have some, like Samhain was their thing, Imbolc was kind of their thing, Lughnasadh, but like also Yule comes from the Norse. That they had some winter celebration, but literally Yule is the Norse. It comes from like Jul, I think is how they spell it, and it might even be the U with the either the dots or a squiggle or something above it. Like that comes from them. And Mabon, it's a modern invention, and like Ostara is supposed to come from like the Germanic goddess. Like they probably had something, but not in the way we have it. It wasn't 8, it wasn't specific, it wasn't in the nice little organized way we have it now. They did it different. No, like I'm sure the library doesn't have it, and to be honest, I have such a long list of books to buy that I have a hard time picking and choosing which ones to buy. And so I go back and forth on which ones I will. And so I also just, if I had the money, there's a lot I would. But alas, here we be. So, like, you know, there's one from Ronald Hutton. I read Triumph of the Moon. So good. So dense. Oh my god. But I think he also had Stations of the Sun as another book that goes over, like, the ancient side of things. And I'm sure he discredits this exact thing from, like, a historian standpoint. They didn't have that. Again, they probably had something, but not the Wheel of the Year the way we see it today. I don't think they had the 8 like we do. They had some. Every other book that talks about it from a historical analysis to any degree discredits the Wheel of the Year being ancient. So keep that in mind. Now, this is one of those things that I do really appreciate from her, which I did not anticipate. These are old books, right? Like the core books that they would come from is like 25 years old now. Never drink essential oils. Literally on page 55. Literally, word for word. I love you, Conway, for this one. Because, yeah, don't do that. It's like, it's such an old book. Realistic. It doesn't feel that old. I know. But also, 25 years ago was quite a time. And so the fact that even back then they were like, don't do that. And then you find some nowadays, it's like, just like a little bit's fine. You're like, just do it. So, thank you for that. This next one was a really good idea as well. On page 106, if you want to protect the altar top, cover it with a marble board, a metal sheet, or a thin piece of tampered glass. This protective covering will also make it easier to clean up wax drips from your candle. I don't have it anymore, but my mother-in-law actually had those, and I didn't think about doing that, and it's like, it's one of those where you declutter your house and then you realize the thing would be great, but you also have to still declutter your house. You're like, because it would have been so nice just to plop that on the altar, because she did that, and I just was like, that's really weird. Knowing her, she probably read it in a book like this and was like, that's a really good idea, I'm gonna do that. And then me, decluttering, was like, we don't need this, it's fine. As I literally have so much wax on like every altar cloth in existence. Also, they talked about, somewhere in that section, I didn't write it down, but she did talk about how if you use oil on your candles, if you put it at the bottom of your cauldron, the oil will help the wax to not stick to the bottom. Can any of y'all confirm this? I'm curious. I've never tried it. I have used oil. I don't know that I've ever like intentionally put it on like the bottom of the candle. And like if that made a difference. But also, how would you get it to stand either too? Like if you're just setting it in your cauldron, you know, like they don't stand up. I always have to melt the bottom and like have the melted wax enough to like plop it down. So if you did that, you'd just set the oil on fire. So like that wouldn't work. How do you do that? Does that work? It's one of those where you're like, the science brain kicks in and you're like, how? If it works, and that'd be cool. But I don't know. And I also don't usually use my cauldron to burn candles because it's such a pain to clean out. I just use a metal candle holder, and then it's getting gnarly, so I gotta scrape it off again, and it's just a pain. But, I mean, it's hot enough. I could probably just go set it outside. It's black metal, so it should melt the wax enough to, like, pat it off, right? One can hope and dream. It was 100 degrees yesterday, so maybe. So the last specific that I wanted to talk about is on page 303, and she has a very long, heavy, multiple paragraph section on the importance of knowing your herbs. If you're going to try to treat and heal with herbs, you need to know what you're doing, and encourages you to not overdose on your like various herbs to heal stuff because you're like, oh my god, but what if I used more? Then it would do more. It's like, no, it's toxic, you're gonna die. And her example was like someone in a book, she didn't name names, and I'm curious which one it was, but it told you to like cure cancer, to like have a toxic level of like wormwood. She's like, don't do that. So I appreciated that. You don't find that often. And she was very heavily like, hey, modern medicine, it's pretty cool. And also in the healing section, I will say it was also nice, I didn't write it down what page it was from, but she does talk about how when we talk about healing and stuff, to remember that sometimes it's not going to work, and she goes over a lot of the whys. So like, some people genuinely actually like being sick because you get attention. It sounds weird, but there are those people. They exist. If you haven't met them yet, count your blessings. They are real, and it's weird, but they do that. And there's also, like, you could even argue there's like some trauma responses with that as well, that you only feel like valid of care or rest if you're sick. So like you can kind of manifest that into existence. I'm not full law of attraction saying you're making it happen, but also sometimes you kind of let yourself get sick for a reason. Like, it's a thin line. The connection between mind and body is really crazy. We're still learning about it, just as like humanity as a whole. So like, I'm sure in 100, 200 years from now, they'll be like, yeah. But for now, we know to some degree what you think and how you feel emotionally and mentally does affect your physical form. And so she talks about a little bit of that, and also that at some point you will reach the end of this life path, this life timeline thing. And when you get to the end, you can't heal out of that. And just be aware, sometimes it's the end. And like, that end hits differently. Sometimes you can inch it really, really far. And sometimes you can scooch that way further, decades up faster than it needed to be, by poor decisions, which happens. And it's dumb. If you have an addiction, please go get help, because nobody wants to bury someone under 50. It's not fun. So anyways, I'm glad that she included stuff like that, because like, it's not always mentioned in these sort of books, so it was nice to see it there. And so, I mean, the energy stuff was still like, not my thing. I like the candle stuff better. I like hands-on stuff a lot more for my spell craftings, but I mean, it's not bad. Again, the candle section, I think I have like 15 spells that like I kind of need to buy a copy and like put the little tabby tabs to refine them, because it's so good. So I would recommend this book for either beginners to maybe intermediate, because some of it can feel a little overwhelming and some of it feels very beginner. And that's kind of what Conway was known for, is very much that in-between of really accessible to beginners, but sometimes including a little more advanced stuff. So wherever you fall, maybe one of the 4 books in this book will call to you. Personally, if I could just find the candle one, I would be set. I don't need the other ones, but the candle one, yeah, it'd be worth going to buy. The other ones, me. But I don't know if they took them out of publication to put the one, so odds be in your favor to find which one works for you. I haven't looked it up because I don't care that much, but one day I'll buy it. But I have such a backlog of books to buy that it's like, if I win the lottery, there will be signs. When I have a book haul that doesn't have the library sticker, you'll know. And if the background just suddenly changes and it's like a really nice background, you'll also know. But until the end, you know, I would just have to talk about it anyways, because I am not that humble. I just want to have people there to share in the excitement. So you would know. But anyways, so thank you for coming along for another book review. I would love to know your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. A huge thank you to my patrons. If you would like to support me and get access to exclusive content, I usually try and post about 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes 5, depends on the week. And of course, here on the main channel, I try and post every single day. And until next time, thank you so much for coming along, and blessed be.